There are athletes who follow the rule book, and then there are athletes who rewrite it just by being themselves. Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto are the second kind. What they've both done in baseball isn't just impressive, it's borderline mystical. And the most fascinating part is they didn't become two-time World Series champions by doing what every other player did. They got there by choosing paths almost no other players were willing to take. Today, I'll show you how these two players brought a new frequency into baseball, a blueprint that challenges everything we thought we knew about how a pitcher should move, how a star should train, and what's even possible on a baseball diamond. But first, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Trill. I'm a conscious creator and a high-vibe music artist. I'm also a former professional sports handicapper, one of the best in the world at beating the odds makers. So if you like high-vibe content and an energetic read on sports, hit the like and subscribe, and let's dive in. There's a moment in every athlete's life where they have to decide, do I follow what everyone else is doing, or do I trust the path that's calling to me? For Yoshinobu Yamamoto, that moment happened before he ever became a superstar. It happened the day he met a man named Osamu Yada, a biomechanist, judo therapist, and trainer who doesn't believe in traditional anything. And this partnership might be one of the greatest right place, right time stories in modern baseball. Back in 2017, Yamamoto was just 18, young, talented, and full of potential. He was drafted by the Oryx Buffaloes, but the organization felt he needed more than standard training to thrive. There were concerns about how sustainable his mechanics were long-term. Enter Osamu Yada. Yamamoto shows up to Yada's Osaka clinic expecting mechanical tweaks, maybe a structured workout plan, something familiar and safe. Instead, the first thing Yada says to him is, even if you train without sleep, you won't reach your potential with the way you're throwing now. You need a full model change. Most pitchers would have walked out. Instead, Yamamoto didn't hesitate. He said, then I'll do that. That response became the starting point of his transformation, not just physically, but energetically. He wasn't signing up for a slightly better version of what everyone else was doing. He was agreeing to rebuild himself from the ground up. That willingness established a mentor-mentee bond grounded not in minor adjustments, but in complete evolution. A lot of pitchers lift heavy, run poles, throw weighted balls, and grind through endless bullpen reps. Yamamoto went in a different direction because Yada's philosophy was different. Don't overpower the body, align it. Don't isolate muscles, integrate them. Don't repeat the old model, evolve past it. Yada believed most pitchers rely on a few overworked muscles, the shoulder, elbow, and forearm, pushing them to 100% output. His belief, it's easy to use one muscle at full power. The real art is using hundreds of muscles at 10% each, sharing the load so the whole system can move as one. That's synergy. That's harmony. That's the martial arts way applied to baseball. To explain it, Yada used one of his favorite metaphors. Think of the pitching motion like a tree. Most people obsess over the branches, the arms, the hands, the visible movement that sways in the wind. But the most important part is the trunk. If the trunk is strong and the roots are grounded, the entire tree can withstand rain, wind, and storms. If the trunk is weak, the branches don't matter. Yamamoto understood this immediately because it matched the way he already saw movement. Before baseball, he practiced judo, and those principles became the backbone of his pitching transformation. Judo teaches balance, posture, flow, breath, and the redirection of energy. When you watch Yamamoto pitch, you see all of that in real time. His leg lift is centered. His hips rotate like a coiled spring. His finish lands in perfect balance. He's calm, grounded, and fully present. Traits you don't learn from a weight room, but from martial arts, body awareness, and deep discipline. By training differently, Yamamoto didn't just follow other pitchers, he quietly began to lead. His unorthodox methods became a competitive advantage, and it showed the moment he took the mound in the biggest games of his career. Yamamoto also notably trained by throwing javelins, not as a gimmick, but as a biomechanical blueprint. Javelin work teaches whole body sequencing, linear force transfer, healthy arm paths, and using the legs and core so the arm doesn't carry the entire burden. That approach not only cleaned up his mechanics, it also helped him relieve his elbow pain. While other pitchers obsessed over velocity machines and new grip tech, Yamamoto was on a field somewhere, launching javelins into the sky, tuning the exact movement patterns that would later make him dominant. It wasn't just training, it was intuition meeting innovation. When you zoom out, something deeper comes into focus. Yamamoto didn't just build a delivery, he built a relationship with his body. Yada wasn't simply a trainer, he was a guide, part scientist, part philosopher, part movement sage. Together they formed a model rooted in somatic awareness, whole body intelligence, nervous system durability, and energetic alignment. Championships are often born in that space, not just in mechanics, but in consciousness. Yamamoto's journey leaves us with a powerful reminder: you don't become extraordinary by copying ordinary. So ask yourself, what's the unconventional idea that you keep ignoring? What's the training your soul keeps nudging you towards? What evolution is waiting on the other side of a bold decision that you keep postponing? Because all it takes is an open mind, a willingness to try something different, and a belief that your path will lead to your next big breakthrough. If Yamamoto's story is about embracing a new approach, Shohei Ohtani's story is about refusing to let the world shrink who you already know yourself to be. From the beginning, Ohtani wasn't just good at pitching. He wasn't just good at hitting. He was exceptional at both. As a teenager, he was already throwing upper 90s fastballs, the kind of velocity that makes coaches' straws drop and instantly puts you on every scout's radar. In 2012, when he announced that he wanted to skip Nippon Professional Baseball and go straight to MLB, most teams, both in Japan and in the US, viewed him as primarily a pitcher. They wanted him to choose. They wanted him to specialize. And in many ways, that would have been the easier path. Pick one role, master it, and fit the system. But Ohtani didn't see himself as just a pitcher or just a hitter. To him, the two-way identity wasn't a gimmick. It was simply who he was. The Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters took a huge risk and drafted him anyway, using their first-round pick on a player who had basically told NPB clubs not to bother. Then they presented him with a plan they called the path to realizing Shohei Ohtani's dream, and promised him the chance to be both a pitcher and a position player. That promise, that willingness to honor his full identity, is what persuaded him to sign in Japan. With the Fighters, Ohtani became the first player in NPB history to be selected to the All-Star team as both a pitcher and an outfielder in the same season. And in 2016, he won the Pacific League MVP while putting up elite numbers on the mound and at the plate. His entire Japanese career became living proof that this impossible two-way dream wasn't just viable, it was dominant. By the time he was posted to MLB after the 2017 season, Ohtani had something incredibly rare. Not just hype, but leverage. Because of international signing rules, he wasn't commanding a massive free agent contract, but that actually gave him power in a different way. Almost every team could afford him, which meant he could choose the organization that would honor his two-way path. The Angels ultimately won the sweepstakes because they took his request seriously. And then, on the biggest stage, he showed exactly why that mattered. In 2018, he won the American League Rookie of the Year as a two-way player. In 2021, he put up one of the most statistically unprecedented seasons the game has ever seen. 46 home runs, over 100 innings pitched, more than 100 strikeouts. A year so wild that the league gave him the Commissioner's Historic Achievement Award and an MVP trophy. Along the way, the sport itself had to adapt around him. MLB introduced a rule that effectively allowed a pitcher who started the game, who is also the designated hitter, to stay in the lineup as a hitter after leaving the mound, informally dubbed the Ohtani rule, because reality kept bending around what he could do. None of that, however, came without cost. Ohtani went through injuries, surgeries, and grueling rehab cycles. At multiple points, people wondered if he would finally give up the two-way dream and choose one lane to protect his body and extend his career. Each time he returned with the same quiet clarity. It's who I am. It's what I do. That's more than just a quote. That's alignment. It reflects a person whose identity is rooted internally rather than shaped by outside expectations. All of that stubborn belief in his two-way nature converged in one of the most surreal performances baseball has ever seen. Game 4 of the 2025 National League Championship Series. The Dodgers were facing the Milwaukee Brewers, trying to close them out and return to the World Series. Ohtani took the ball as the starting pitcher, and at the same time, stepped into the box as the leadoff hitter. Right away, he made history. He opened the game with a leadoff home run, becoming the first pitcher ever to do that in any MLB game. Then, over the course of the night, he tacked on 2 more home runs and struck out 10 batters while throwing 6 scoreless innings, leading the Dodgers to a 5-1 win and a sweep of the Brewers. Ohtani became the first pitcher in MLB history to hit 3 home runs and record double-digit strikeouts in the same game, regular season or postseason. He walked off the field as the clear NLCS MVP, and in the eyes of many, the author of the greatest single-game performance the postseason has ever seen. On the surface, Yamamoto and Ohtani have very different origin stories. One rebuilt his body from the inside out with a biomechanist who spoke in metaphors about trees, roots, and whole body harmony. The other refused to let the loudest baseball voices in Japan and America talk him out of being everything he knew he was. Yet underneath those differences is a shared frequency, one that's starting to ripple outward through Major League Baseball. They didn't just excel, they expanded the definition of what excellence looks like. Yamamoto brought in the idea that a pitcher doesn't need to be a collection of isolated muscles or a velocity-chasing machine. He showed that a pitcher can be a fully integrated system, a whole-body instrument tuned for balance, resilience, and consciousness under pressure. As more young pitchers study his methods, MLB is beginning to see pitching not just as strength and torque, but as posture, breath, sequencing, and nervous system management. He gives players permission to ask, what if the real path to velocity and durability isn't force, but coherence? And Ohtani? He shattered an even bigger boundary. For more than a century, American baseball insisted that specialization was the only path. You pitch or you hit. You don't cross the streams. Yet Ohtani said no to specialization, when most people would have given in and chosen the safer version of themselves. His success didn't just change how teams scout talent, it changed the rules of MLB itself. And perhaps more importantly, it opened a portal for future players. Together, Yamamoto and Ohtani brought a new consciousness into American baseball. They showed that greatness doesn't always come from conforming to what worked before. Sometimes it comes from embodying who you are so fully that the sport itself has to evolve in response. And that's the deeper invitation. Whether you're watching as a creator, an athlete, or a fan, instead of falling into line and following the path that everyone else is on, are you brave enough to explore new, innovative approaches? Are you bold enough to rebuild from the ground up? Are you savvy enough to dial into your soul and become the most authentic version of yourself? Yamamoto and Ohtani proved that when you follow the frequency that is uniquely yours, you don't just succeed, you expand the realm of possibility for everyone who comes after you. If you enjoy high vibe content, please like and subscribe. And if you want more breakdowns just like this, where we talk about the game behind the game, the consciousness side of sports, entertainment, and life, let me know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, namaste.